Evolution is when things adapt to the certain environmental surroundings to be able to survive. Over time they change to become more suited to the environment, which allows them to survive and become stronger and more familiar with the habitat. There are three types of adaptation. Firstly, structural adaptation. Structural adaptation is the features on an organism. For example, the fur on an animal helps them to keep warm from the cold. Furthermore, behavioural adaptation is something organisms do throughout their life to survive. For example, birds migrate miles and miles in order to survive. Another example of behavioural adaptation is hibernating. Hibernation is when animals go and collect food and then store the food throughout winter and hide away from the cold for the whole season.
Lastly, functional adaptation. Functional adaptation is when an organism has to change for survival. The organism has to develop a specific trait that will help them to continue to survive. For example, if a bird has already got the ability to eat fruit, but there are heaps of competitors, then some birds can develop the skill to eat seeds.
Extinction happens when a species has trouble adapting to their environment. If over an extended period of time the birth rate of a species is less than the death rate, then extinction will eventually occur.
Heredity is a passing on of characteristics, whether it be physical or mental. These characteristics are passed on from ancestors and parents, which continues to get passed on through generations.
Within a species, each animal is very similar to each other, but they are not identical. There are different ways that variation can occur.
Differences in chromosomes and genes is one, genetic mutation is another, and lastly, environmental factors.
The reason animals are not identical is because of the differences in chromosomes and genes that are inherited from their parents. The offspring inherit one chromosome from the mother and one from the father. This is called genetic recombination. Chromosomes carry DNA, which is located in the nucleus of each cell. Genetic mutation is another form of variation. Genetic mutation is when the DNA is permanently changed. This means that it is different from what would be found in any other normal organism. Ectrodactyly is a form of mutation. The ectrodactyly mutation is caused by undeveloped fingers or toes, therefore causing a cleft hand. Environmental factors are what influences the growth of organisms. Environmental factors can be abiotic or biotic. Take plants for example. Abiotic means the resources that the plant uses to survive, such as water, the sunlight, and soil. Biotic means things like predators or competition and food supply. Environmental factors affect and change the body cells. This type of variation does not get passed on to the offspring because only the sex cells are passed on. Charles Darwin's theory used rocks, fossils, and similarities between related living organisms to explain his theory of how evolution happens. Charles Darwin explained that if the offspring inherit certain characteristics, they come from the chromosomes, and the chromosomes cannot be changed during the parent's life. Charles Darwin was a naturalist. In 1831, aged 22, he took a position as a naturalist on the HMS Beagle, a ship commissioned to survey and chart the coast of South America. He saw many organisms adapting when he charted on that 5-year trip, and then he came up with this theory that organisms' characteristics were developed from parents and ancestors. When Darwin was studying on Galapagos Island, he found that there were 14 different species of finches. They all had similar colourings, calls, nests, eggs, and courtship displays. They differed, however, in habitat, diet, body size, and beak shape. He used natural selection to explain his thought about these 14 different species of finches that had possibly come from a common ancestor.